Well, for this primarily being a Bluey-themed creepypasta, I can definitely say for a fact that there was at least some level of an attempt here. But regardless, this pasta didn't exactly really meet much expectations. But for a place like the Lost Episode Creepypasta Wikia, that's not really saying too much. The thing with this pasta that I can certainly say I'm not really much of a fan of was primarily everything that kind of went on. The story itself for what it is, while I can definitely see what the author was trying to go with, this pasta just feels really all over the place. There's not really a whole lot of absolutely good structuring and everything, and a lot of it simultaneously just comes across as rather confusing. What I really honestly would have enjoyed a lot more with this pasta is if there was a little bit more cleanup and everything with it. Also, why exactly is it that this creepypasta manages to sit there and have random inserted images in the long run? I mean, I know this is a Lost Episode pasta and I shouldn't be expecting much, but come on people, Squidward Suicide managed to do this a million times better compared to what this pasta managed to do. Overall, in the end, this creepypasta really wasn't exactly that great, and the lowercase i's in this really bugged me a lot. But if you guys want to go and check it out, I would heavily recommend that you do, and maybe give a little bit of constructive criticism. Now, of course, given the fact that Bluey is becoming extremely popular, I'm actually going to go and try and find a really good creepypasta. Until then, everyone, enjoy the story. Bluey was trying to live a happy life with a stable family. Now that's incredibly hard to do, especially if you have an annoying sister by your side that won't leave you the hell alone. Not to mention you live in a 2D animated world and not reality. You think that reality is just a myth and that your world is the most important thing to you. Your friends are actually figments of your imaginations and your parents just don't exist anymore. You get very little sleep and are obsessive about your morning routine. If you get one thing wrong, you have to start it all over again. And that's the daily life of an ABC intern. My thoughts have been consuming my mind lately. I never speak them out loud, but sometimes I really have to. I've been working at ABC ever since 1996, and I've never felt more bored in my whole life. If you went to pep rallies in high school, it's like those, but slightly worse. The shows I edit are extraordinarily horrible. There's not one show on the network worth editing in my opinion, mostly due to the fact that it's basically news and shit like that. I basically fall asleep during the middle of the process. One show that is a massive pain in the ass to edit is Bluey. It's known as the greatest thing to hit Aussie screens, but it's not. It's basically every single kid show ever, but with animated dogs in it. Here's a quick synopsis for anyone who doesn't plan on watching the show. Bluey follows the adventures of a lovable and inexhaustible 6-year-old blue heeler puppy who lives with her dad, mom, and 4-year-old little sister, Bingo. In every episode, Bluey uses her limitless blue heeler energy to play elaborate games that unfold in unpredictable and hilarious ways. But there's one thing that made me dislike the show reaches no limits, and that episode in question is Bingo's depression. Most know it as an unaired pilot to Bluey dating back all the way to 2014. Some people say that the animation was terrible, while others are appalled by its disturbing subject matter. I, however, haven't seen it. Well, I wish I could say I haven't seen it, but I have. Boy, that was one of the biggest mistakes in my entire existence. I'll tell you how I discovered it. I was editing the movie Paranormal Activity for TV. It was an extremely long process. I had to illegally download it. I had to plaster on the network's logo near the bottom of the screen, etc, etc, etc. My eyes started to slowly close and then I realized I was falling asleep. Here's one thing you need to know about working for ABC. They don't allow people to sleep on the job. There have been a few cases where an intern has fallen asleep in public, leading to him getting fired, of course. Just then, a nurse from one of the cafe rooms offered me a cup of coffee to keep me awake. The coffee itself was a darker color than what I usually get. Nevertheless, I accepted it because I didn't want my only occupation to be at stake. I was only halfway through the movie when I decided that I needed a break, so I left the editing room and decided to walk outside the studio. While walking on the grass, I found something a little suspicious. It was a white VHS tape with the word Bluey Unaired Pilot on it. I was skeptical because I had only heard many horror stories about the very cartridge I was holding in my left hand. I was extremely curious to see what it looked like, so I went back inside the studio and went into the viewing room. Then I put the tape in the VCR, grabbed an ice-cold Pepsi with some KFC fried chicken and began to watch. What I saw next totally exceeded my expectations. The intro played, but the screen was in black and white, the audio was loud, and the video was rather jumpy to say the least. The strange thing is that Bingo wasn't even in the intro. Where could she have been? Did another family adopt her, or did she die in her sleep? I was about to find out, so I kept the questions in my head. The episode started with Bluey playing a card game with Bandit. As far as I recall, they were playing a game of poker, because you could clearly see money near the two ends of the table. Bluey was also drinking a beer, and Bandit was smoking a cigar. Pretty unsuitable for a children's show. Bingo walked over to the table looking tired and very forlorn, as if she had lost something special. In fear where this was going to be some scary sound effects during the episode, I decided to mute the television. I had already wet myself enough from viewing Paranormal Activity. The episode was titled Bingo's Depression. A very downbeat title for an episode, but hey, that only made it even more interesting. Anyway, Bluey asked Bingo what the problem was, and Bingo didn't really answer. Bandit then spoke to Bingo, but the screen then started to glitch out. You could see a black screen for a couple of minutes before the footage changed back to the episode. Bandit was still talking to Bingo, but he seemed very irritated and tears started streaming down Bingo's face. Suddenly, some ominous music started to play, which was very strange considering that the TV was on mute. Bingo then ran upstairs, still crying. She suddenly stopped for a couple of minutes before slowly and quietly walking to her room. The animation then started to change from 2D to CGI. As the screen glitched some more, Bingo began to draw a picture. The camera focused in on Bingo's face. She still looked very dejected, but her face slowly got more and more menacing to look at. Her face seemed to get angrier and angrier. The TV then went to static. The creepy thing is that I could hear someone singing a lullaby in the background. I can't remember the lyrics at all, but considering what the episode was about, it obviously wasn't very pretty. The next scene consisted of Bingo crying in the corner. The camera got progressively closer to the young canine, and the animation was rather choppy as well. Everything just looked like squares, even Bingo herself. The animation then started to consistently change from 2D to 3D until the screen went absolutely insane. Random colors then started to flash rapidly. An image then appeared on the screen. I rewounded it to see what it was. It was an old woman with her skin all wrinkled and her face scrunched up. Her arms looked like very large sticks, her skin was burnt, and all of her teeth were knocked out. She had a sadistic look on her face, and she pointed a knife towards the screen. I was creeped out. What was even worse is there was absolutely no one in the studio with me at the time, as I needed a key to open the door, so I was forced to watch the whole thing in the dark. The screen cut to Bingo hysterically laughing. Her laughter was mixed up with agonizing screams and children crying. The sounds of children crying was eventually mixed with the sounds of a snarling lion. The sound of the snarling lion soon faded into the sound of a heart rate monitor. You get the idea. The scene started to play in reverse, with the sounds of someone gagging being played. Over the scene, a rather disturbing image began to flash across the screen. It consisted of a child drowning in gasoline with his mother watching in terror. The image started to move up and down as it was flashing. I was confused and scared. What sick fuck would make something like this? I hate Bluey with a passion, but I can't see why anybody would enjoy watching this. Bingo then slowly started walking down the stairs. Surprisingly, Bluey and Bandit were still playing poker despite the fact that it appeared to be around 10 p.m. Bingo walked towards them holding a razor blade in her left hand. However, Bluey and Bingo were too busy playing their game to even realize Bingo was even there. As payback for not getting attention to her, Bingo swallowed the blade. Before we could see what happened next, the screen cuts to black and a video clip plays. It shows a man sticking a fork into a toaster, only to be electrocuted seconds later. His charred corpse then falls to the ground and the scene zooms on his face. The episode finally ends as my TV cuts to static. I don't know what sick son of a bitch would create such a thing, and it seems to be coming from someone who hates Bluey. It contained some of the most violent images and videos I'd ever seen. If you find this video, can you please email it to me? But what's even weirder is that I don't even see what happened to Bingo in the end. I had plans to do the whole thing again, although I really shouldn't rewatch the damn thing. It'll give me nightmares. Really bad ones at that.
In fear and surprise, as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final halt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping, horror-driven, nightmarish, gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at any